All right, students. Now begins today's lesson. Okay. Now today's lesson is called SQ3R. Now, SQ3R. This is the first component in the first week uh, of the course. So, if you look at the course outline that I have shared with you, you will see that in week 1 there is ice-breaking activity or activities which we did in the last class. And then the second component over there is SQ3R. Okay, so it looks like a maybe formula, chemistry formula. Okay, does it look like that? Something acronym, you know, a big acronym. But any guess what is it? SQ3R. Any guess on it? Okay, so basically it is. Basically, it is a reading strategy. Okay, SQ3R is a reading strategy. So, is it visible enough? Okay, good. Let's go with it then. All right. So, when you start learning communication, especially in writing, the first step that experts advise to us is that we should improve our reading skill, because our writing output is kind of directly proportional to our reading input. All right. So the better reader we are, there is high probability the better writers we will become. Now, there are many strategies how to read effectively. One of those strategies is called SQ3R that you can see on your own, on the screen. So as you can see over here, SQ3R is a reading study formula designed to help process and increase retention of written work. So whatever you read, you should be able to retain that. So these are the steps you can see over here. So the first step in that is called survey. We usually ignore this step. This step is like this. You should scan the piece of writing to establish its purpose and get the main ideas. Generally, we are in the habit of directly jumping to the component itself that we plan to read. It is very rare that we, before start reading chapter 1 of a book, it is very rare that we also look at the book jacket, the book binding. What does it say on the back cover? What does it say on the front cover? There is a lot of information just in the design of the book that we tend to ignore. But it is very important that we have a quick scan of what is before what we are going to read and what is after what we are going to read. Okay, so what kind of book is that? Where was it published? Who wrote it? Okay, when was it written? Or if it is a chapter, when the chapter was written, who wrote that particular chapter? It is called survey. And then you should also look for these things, titles and headings. You can also look for the contents. Just by reading through the contents of a particular book, you can make a quick guess of what the book is about. Indicate the main topics and concepts being developed. So titles and headings and contents will give you an idea of what are the main ideas that are going to follow in the book. Then also look at the pictures. What do they say? Look at the questions. Look where any part of the book has been italicized or written in bold, and what information has been emphasized. Look at that as well. And then before reading the book or the chapter or an article, before you read that, read introduction and conclusion of that. Sometimes you read the introduction and conclusion of an article and you feel you don't need to read the article, especially in newspapers. And you might have noticed that in all major newspapers, there is a block quote right in the middle of the article, right in the big letters. A part of the whole article has been written in big letters, okay, in big font. And when you read the article, you realize that this was the main thing in the whole article. All right. So we should kind of prepare ourselves to absorb maximum in minimum time. Okay. And that is possible by looking at, the introduction and the conclusion of the article first before you start reading it actually. Similarly, sometimes just the first and last sentence of a paragraph tells you enough what the paragraph is about. For example, you are reading an article about honeybees. Okay. And you reach one particular paragraph and the paragraph begins like that. There are many kinds of flowers that honeybees like. And then the author says, those flowers include, and then the author gives the names of 20 flowers over there. Just by reading the first line of the paragraph, the first sentence of the paragraph, you know what is going to follow. If you are a student of English, for example, probably that information is irrelevant for you. Why do you need to know the names of all those flowers? It is enough to know that yes, bees sit on many kind of flowers. Okay. On the other hand, for example, if you are a botanist, okay, and you have that kind of interest in botany, then probably you would like to look at the detail as well. So many times just the first sentence and the last sentence of a paragraph tells you what the paragraph is about. So you don't need to spend more time on the paragraph. Just go to the second paragraph and the third and fourth and like that. And then also have a look at footnotes. Who reads footnotes? Nobody does. Okay, footnotes are the small notes in small font at the bottom of the page of a book and article. They refer to additional explanation of some points in the chapter or in the article or in the book. Okay, but skill is not ignore them, but have a quick look at them. What are they saying? Are they giving additional information? What kind of information? Sometimes by looking at the notes, you are able to make a guess of what the article is about. All right. So this is called survey. This is the first step in reading. You haven't started reading yet. It's kind of pre-reading. Okay. So the first step in developing a reading skill is to survey the piece that you want to read. That piece can be an essay, a paper, a research article, a book, any text of any size. That was the first step. Now this is the second step. It is called question. So we covered S, now it is Q, SQ3R, right? Q is question. Now, write questions to give purpose and improve concentration. You know, when you are reading a text, especially if it is a scientific text or if it is a little complex text, it is very hard for us to keep absorbing the information that is coming our way. It is very hard to stay focused. So one strategy to stay focused is to ask questions about what you are reading. Okay, so if the author, an author has written about the health crisis caused by coronavirus, and the author argues that because of coronavirus, the spread of pandemic, various hospitals have been overburdened. You should not just pass on the information. Rather, you should question, why overburdened? If you give this question to yourself, why overburdened, then now you are looking for the answer of that question. Probably the writer has given 10 reasons for overburdening of the hospitals. If you have given this question to yourself and you get its answer in the rest of the essay, then probably it will be easier for you to remember the information. But if you never give this question to yourself, probably you will just lose interest in the article and will not read on. Similarly, you can turn main headings and pictures into questions as well. Okay, so why does it happen? Questions can be like this. Why does this happen? How does this happen? What is the purpose? Okay, or where is it happening? What is the context of this information? Okay, for whom this information has been written? For whom this article has been written? You know, questions of this kind. They are general questions. They apply to all kinds of readings. Then jot down questions that you may have as you survey the material. Okay, it is important to write down some of those questions as well. Okay, and now we come to the R component. It is read. Okay, first of the 3 R's is read. Okay, so reading has just started now. All right, reading has just started now. So you have done the survey and you have posed the questions to yourself by, you know, beginning the article, looking at the top heading or looking at the main statement, looking at the big quotations, looking at the pictures, looking at the drawings in the book, at the graphs in the book, you know, things of that kind. And you have given yourself questions. Now you have started reading. So you created questions for yourself. Now is the time to give answers to those questions. All right. So search for answers. If you are reading this way, then you are increasing your retentive memory. It is called retentive, how much you can retain in your mind. Okay. And when you read, also make notes and highlight main ideas that support the concept. So if you are reading a PDF, you should be using the highlight function, okay, as much as it is possible for you. Along with that, you should be using the notes function. All right. So have you used highlight and note functions in PDF earlier? Have you done that in the past in PDF? Okay, we can try to demonstrate that after I finish with this. Okay. Okay, so first R was to read. The second R is recite. So reciting helps to put the information into your long-term memory. Okay, so recitation basically is rereading. Okay, Now, of course, that makes perfect sense that you cannot recite an article of 5,000 words or 4,000 words. It's not possible for you to read that much in form of recitation, you know. By recitation, we mean you read word for word, okay? But what you can do is, after you have done highlighting and after you have written the notes, now you can recite just those parts which you have highlighted to be really important. Okay, so roughly speaking, if you read 20 pages and you highlighted 3 lines on each page, so you are only reciting like maybe 50 to 60 lines, which is not a lot. Okay, maybe 2 pages in total. Okay, so reciting means reading loud so that you are able to listen to what you are reading. And of course, this is not unmindful memorization. It's not that. It's not cramming. Okay? It's not cramming. It is like you're reading it loud just once to make sure that you understand the information which you highlighted. And then you should put that information that you have learned into words as well. Now, this is the ultimate, skill, which takes little longer time for us to do. Because when you write down the information that you have read about and that you have recited as well, when you are going to write it in your own words, then you are going to definitely make sure that you have understood the content. All right? But this is an essential step of successful and effective reading. And then the final R is review the information. So it is important to review the material to understand and remember it. So after you have read the material, you have taken notes, you have highlighted parts of it. Now is the time for you to put this away and get ready to review it when you need to use it. For example, you're supposed to take an exam after 3 weeks and your professor assigns you a reading today. You should do all the steps until recitation today, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe within a week. But be ready to review your reading before the exam again. Okay, so if you don't do that, then all the practice that you did in this week, probably that practice is going to totally vanish. That is not going to help you much. So a quick review at the end, right before the exam, is equally important. Okay, of course, don't ruin your sleep for that. By that we mean you should allocate some time for review purpose as well. But interesting thing is that reviewing the article that you have read already and thoroughly, reviewing that is much easier. You know, it doesn't take much time. Okay, because you know what the information is. So did you answer all of the questions and understand the information? So you just should make sure that if you have understood every part of what you read, reviewing each time you study will eliminate the need to cram for a test. Okay, so reviewing is kind of a substitute for cramming the text. Okay, so reviewing means you are just making sure it for yourself that you know the content now. So this way, SQ3R is a reading strategy, a very effective reading strategy, which tells us that SQ and 3 R's, they stand for S for survey, that you survey the text before you start reading it, okay? And then Q, question, give yourself question before actually you have started reading it minutely and closely. Give some question to yourself before you start reading. Otherwise, you won't find a direction to read. What are you going to read about? Where will it take you? Okay, so have some question in mind before you start reading. And then 3 R's begin. Okay, so in the first R, you read the information. Okay, you read the information in such a manner that you highlight and you take notes for what you are reading. Okay, if you're using a hard copy form, then use a pen to take notes and highlight, or marker. If you're using PDF, then use a relevant software to do that. Okay, all the ebooks and all PDF readers have highlight option in them and take note taking option in them. Okay, use that. I can demonstrate one to you right now after I finish with this recap. And then after reading, you should recite the relevant information. Okay, read loud for yourself the information that you have marked to be important. Okay, and then finally leave some time for review as well. Okay, reviewing is equally important. Okay, so for each article that you are assigned to read, you should practice this. Okay, depending upon a time, you might not be able to do justice with the reading. Okay, but my tip to you is use all these steps. Even if you allocate very little time to each step, but use all these steps. Okay, don't think that because you have less time, you are only going to scan the article, just kind of, you are going to survey it and will do nothing else. Okay, so instead of doing that, you should allocate little time to each step. That will be more productive. All right, so for example, if you are on the reading step and you feel these are 20 pages, you cannot read 20 pages, well, it is okay for you to skip the paragraphs, but do read. Okay, so out of 100 paragraphs, if you read only 25 paragraphs, they will give you more than just skipping the whole reading. Okay, so you have to kind of strategically plan your own reading. Okay, but do all these steps. So this is the end of the lecture about SQ3R, the reading strategy. And now I'm going to demonstrate to you how we can take notes and highlight in a PDF. So I'm just opening a PDF form. Somebody close the door, please. Thanks. Thanks. This is just out of pace. Okay, so students, it will depend on the kind of computer you are using. But over here now, this is a PDF that I have opened. Okay, and this gives me option of using highlight from here. Okay, like this, and you can use variety of colors. That also enhances your memory. Okay, so you can use different color for different kind of information. This one. All right. This function is in all computers almost, but you need to open PDF. Okay. Well, Word also works for that, but I'm telling you from PDF because most of the readings will be in PDF format. And then you can underline also if you want. Like this. Okay. So you can kind of plan your own highlighting system. Okay, so which color you want to assign to which kind of quote. or which kind of sentence, okay? Which kind of information you want to underline. You can plan for that, all right? Okay, now for note taking, I mean, again, it depends on the kind of text you are using, okay? So for example, you want to write something over here. So for example, you wanted to look up the meaning of margin. You didn't know the meaning of the margin, okay? So you looked up in dictionary, you know you want to note it over here. You can do that, okay? Or maybe you want to ask a question. For example, this articles begin with SQ3R reading method. This is the heading. You can pose this question to yourself. Why should we use our reading method? This is the question you gave to yourself. So before you start reading, you have this question for yourself. And when you are going to read, now you're going to look for the answer of this question. Why do I need a method? Okay, so you will start getting the responses to that question through that reading. Okay, you probably can ask, maybe that is not the question that the author has addressed. Well, it is possible. But even if the author has not addressed this question, but you gave a question to yourself regarding the reading and you kept looking for answer of that, still you are enhancing your own memory of what you are reading, because your mind is more engaged now. Now your mind is telling you, no, this information is not in there. Okay, and your mind can tell you that this information is not in there only when your mind registers the information. Are you getting my point? That is a way to engage with the text, and that is absolutely fine. Okay, do give question to yourself about the reading, okay, and then start reading. That will multiplies your retention of what you are reading. So this is how highlighting system works, and you should do that, and you can save this document as it is along with the highlights and the notes that you take, okay, and you can reuse it later on as well. But always keep backups, keep the stuff in drives, okay, Google Drive, or what is the other one, on Outlook. Keep your material in drives, open them and read within them, okay, that you won't lose your data that way, okay. So this is all about today's lesson, and I gave you a demonstration as well. So I will be ending the lesson. If you have any questions, you can ask now. So the students who are online, they will email me their questions, okay? But those who are here, they can ask questions right now.